That brings us to item number 11, which is our superintendent's report, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hefner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm happy to point out that there are certainly wonderful things happening all across our district, and one of the things I want to make sure we call everyone's attention to this evening is the fact that our annual district-wide musical will be held on April 26th through April 29th at the Irmo Center for the Arts. This year, our students, representing students from all across the district, primarily middle school students this year, are doing Camp Rock the musical. And I am confident that you will enjoy the event if you can work that into your schedule. I did want to point out that we certainly share concerns for people who have experienced all kinds of trauma recently within our school system, and the most recent incident was yesterday with the high winds that came through, leaving many challenges for us throughout the district. We had people out this morning cutting tree limbs to make way for buses and to keep everything working smoothly, and it is a real statement about the power of this system in terms of how everyone came together to make that happen. I guess our major problem of the day was at Leaphart Elementary, where there was no power, and our students were sent home at about 11:30 today because we could not be assured of what time the power might come back on. At last report, the power was on, so we anticipate a normal day there tomorrow. But I want to give a shout out to our administration and our staff there, along certainly our teachers, along with our students and their families who worked so cooperatively to help us to adjust. Special kudos to our transportation department who rallies so capably together to make alterations in their schedules to get students where they need to be when they need to be there, and to our student nutrition staff who saw to it that in spite of no electricity, our students had a healthy breakfast, had a lunch, and if they hadn't had time to have their lunch before they were delivered home at 11:30, they were given a bag lunch. So we knew that each one of them would have a meal today, as many of them were returning to homes with no electricity. So those kinds of events make us very mindful of just how fortunate we are to have the competent and committed staff we have here in the district. Now tonight, as the main focus of the superintendent's report, we wish to give you an update on our major construction project currently at Chapin Middle School. And I will call on Mr. Dan Neal, a person that you know well, along with a couple of other folks who are also familiar to you, who are here this evening. And for the folks in attendance tonight, Mr. Neal is a professional engineer who serves as our district's representative with regard to overseeing the project, the addition at Chapin Middle School. Mr. Neal.
Thank you, Dr. Hefner. Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen of the board, excuse me. It's my pleasure tonight to talk a little bit about where we are with the third wing addition at Chapin Middle School. To do that, something bad just happened. There we go. I have with me Doug Quackenbush, who is going to talk about the design, and Greg Hughes, who is with Contract Construction, who is going to talk about the actual construction project and his firm's role in it. So with that, Doug.
Okay. Good evening. Good to see you all. I'm going to give you just a very brief overview of the design. I think many of you are already familiar with the major tenants, but just a quick overview. The first is to note that this is the third wing of a three-wing middle school. These three wings allow for smaller communities within the whole. This third wing allows us to achieve our maximum capacity that was envisioned from day one, which is 400, 400, 400, and 1,200 students. So that allows that to happen. The key to this being a affordable project is the fact that we did anticipate this third wing. This is what we started with this latest phase, and of course what will happen when the addition is complete, which is very, very soon. There are some special programmatic elements that are part of the third wing. The drama room is one substantial piece that is new and unique to the third wing. Again, another view of what it looks like when it's going to be complete. We're very, very close. And you played a significant part in the conception of this. Many of you did. Another key feature is going to be this new entrance on the bus loop, which is going to have an identity similar to what we have on the car loop side. Many of the same materials, certainly the same scale, the same safety and security that would be present there too. And then I've got a slide here that is kind of the placeholder for your participation as the original design was conceived, your participation, materials, and character, which of course is being followed through with the new addition. So one piece of new news is not that new, but if you'll allow me, you may recall I came to see you about a year ago to brag about an award that we had won, and that was with an organization called the Association for Learning Environments, A4LE. This is a very unique group. This is the only group I'm aware of that allows school district personnel and staff and leadership and design professionals working together to achieve high-performance schools. So a year ago, we won the South Carolina Award from A4LE for new construction. This one, which looks similar, but don't let that fool you, is the regional award. So Chapin Middle School won the best new construction project, the only one recognized in the region, which is North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, Florida, and Kentucky.
Wow.
Chapin Middle School.
Hey,
Pretty cool. And I'm going to assume you'll let me give this to Anna so that she can hang it at the school. And she has, I just need to say, been an exceptional partner in this project from the get-go. Terrific principal. I've worked with some that weren't that great. So with that, I think I'm turning it over to Greg.
Mr. Gant, do you think we can get
Thank
a
you, Doug.
picture?
I wanted to talk a little bit about the construction management at risk procurement method and how it's worked on this particular project. The selection of the contractors based on qualifications and experience, and that's especially important on an existing campus. You need to be involved with people you know and trust that will put your best thoughts forward. It's joint selection of subcontractors and suppliers. When we take bids, and they're still bid very competitively, we advertise just like any other hard bid project, and we sit down and we review from grading all the way to electrical, and we select the subs and suppliers that have the most legitimate scope and the legitimate bid, and ones that we've had good experience with in the past. Complete open book of accounting. Dan comes into the office, we go through, match up invoices, make sure everything's accounted for, and we have joint agreement on what costs are actually necessary in the project. When we first started the project, we had this very expensive tunnel system to get the kids out in the event of an emergency. Well, not necessarily that, but actually get them out to the parking lot. We jointly went to the Office of School Facilities, sat down, looked at options, and we were able to route them a different way and saved almost $12,000 or $13,000 in that one example. Other benefits are the owner gets 100% of the savings on the project. On a hard bid project, the contractor keeps any savings that there is, and we're proud to say that we've currently only spent $14,000 of the $343,000 contingency. That's less than 0.2% in changes. So that's kudos to the design. It's the team coming together and making sure everything is right before you break ground and you don't have any unpleasant surprises. We anticipate there being further savings on cost items to be returned. The only unforeseen we had going in was a fire lane that OSF has just recently begun to require based on an event up in Spartanburg where a fire truck had trouble getting to a building because the parents were double stacked. I did do some research on over the past 5 years. I picked out 8 school projects, and they were 3 different procurement methods: integrated project delivery, construction management at risk, and hard bid. Chapin Middle School has the lowest cost per square foot over all those projects, being new construction and renovation mix. So we're real proud that we were able to bring this in. Student safety has been our top priority. We did all the heavy civil work and site security over the first summer. Daily communication with Anna and her staff, like Doug said, they have been fantastic. And we've had 0 incidents and 0 complaints from staff or parents. So that's very important when working on an existing campus. Schedule, we've got an OSF overhead inspection tomorrow. The HVAC is currently running. Over the next 6 weeks, we'll be putting in flooring, casework, doors, and finish painting, and have an occupancy inspection for the building itself on June 14th, finishing up the fire lane and landscaping after the kids are out. We chose not to do some of those heavy activities while they're still in. Added value, this one's an important part of the process for contract construction. We engaged the students in construction. We brought them out when we set the heavy units on the building, taught them the geometry and algebra and technology involved with the crane and the rigging and all the signals that are involved with setting the unit. We're going to be active participant in the career fair this Friday, but more importantly, we've taken an initiative to promote work-based learning throughout the state. Molly Spearman appointed me to the Diploma Pathways Implementation Committee, and they're committed to applied math for students that are on a track towards a career right out of high school. And so we're going to help them structure the curriculum to really bring math to the forefront of these kids' minds and sort of spark the interest when you look at something like a crane instead of a textbook with a triangle. So we're happy to carry that on through this project and many others in the future. So I'm going to turn it over to Dan.
This next slide is mine to brief, but before I do that, I asked Anna Miller if she would come up and talk to you about the way that this has all worked from her perspective as a principal and the collegial relationships that all the parties have had. So, Anna? There you are.
Thank you, Dan. Chairman Gant, Dr. Hefner, Board, thank you for giving me a moment to speak. I think it's very reflective of the process that's been involved in this third edition, that I've been able to sit at the table and have a voice, an appropriate voice for a principal, but to have a voice in that and to be aware of what's going on. I kind of did the same thing that Vernon did. Great minds think alike, Vernon, and tailored my remarks to the 4 C's of the 21st century learner as well, as dictated by the South Carolina profile of a South Carolina graduate. I wanted to talk to you for just a second about communication. From day one, the communication has just been excellent. I was given a schedule for the project. I was given an iPad so that I can see in real time what's going on. I'm updated on that schedule continuously with any changes, and there have been very minimal changes of that. Like I said, I've been included in the meetings every other week. I go to that meeting tomorrow. I'll walk the site again for an inspection that we have, and I appreciate being able to be involved in that. I just can't say enough about the communication between the construction team, the architectural firm, our district representatives, and the school. It's been fabulous. Creativity. Contract construction has worked creatively to mesh their work schedule with our academic schedule. We have had parent visitation day, curriculum nights, concerts, our Palmetto's Finest 2 visits for that, and our live announcement with 0 interruptions. You wouldn't even know they were there, except we have a few parking spaces that are no longer ours to use this year, so we appreciate that. The attitude has been, tell us what you need from us, and we'll find a way to make it happen or work around it, and we appreciate that. Collaboration. The collaboration and teamwork has, between all parties, has just been seamless with everything, placing concrete in the morning when the bus route was coming, making sure that was on schedule, and just connecting to the current building, testing the alarm systems and things of that nature have been wonderful. And as Greg showed you, the willingness to get the students and the staff involved in the HVAC. I will tell you, they enjoyed the algebra, they enjoyed the geometry, they enjoyed the engineering, but they were most fascinated with the drone that the company uses to view all of that while it's in production. So that was neat. And their critical thinking, just up front, as Greg said, it was a well thought out plan for keeping construction separate, not only from the students, but from the faculty, staff, and the adults and the parents. And I went and talked with Dr. Ross at Chapin High School before the summer started, and I said, okay, we're going to have construction going on. What can I learn from you? What can you tell me? And Akil, of course, gave me some great points and some great tips. Two of the things that he said to me scared me a little bit. Be ready for a power outage at any time. If they clip a line or if they do whatever, and water. You know, if they do something to the water and you have to shut down, you know, just be prepared for that at any time. As you know, none of that has occurred, not even close. And I'm so grateful and so thankful for that. And so I think the biggest thing that I would have you take away from tonight is not so much what we have seen or what we have done, but the lack of that. As Greg said, 0 incidents, 0 complaints, not one email from a parent, not one email from faculty or staff, not one email from students complaining about anything that's going on, and it has not stopped 1 second of our instruction at Chapin Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna, thank you. Gosh, they covered almost all of my points, haven't they? I can't tell you enough how much a pleasure it's been to work with both Quackenbush Architects and Contract Construction. Super people, they're dedicated, they care about the product they deliver to us, and from that perspective, it makes my job very easy. It's kind of amazing to me that we've been able to do the things we have done with a contractor, an architect, and there has not been a single disagreement or cross word from anybody. In the construction business, that's very rare. And I'm very proud of them and what we've accomplished, and we'll have that third wing ready for the fall. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You know, Dan and everyone, we'd love, Ms. Hutchins had a great idea. We'd like for Anna to come back up. We'd like for all of you to come up, bring that award. I want the board to go back up. I want Dr. Hefner to go back up. I want Dr. Melton to come up. We're going to take a picture. And before we do that, I want to remind everyone that the people that just made those presentations are responsible for what's going on all products of public schools. And I will tell you that these two gentlemen are products of School District 5, Irmo High School graduates, and others. So,
Significant. Thank you, Greg.
Mr. Gant,
yes, ma'am.
I would love to say how excited it is to hear what they did as a teacher about taking the kids out and letting them have the real life lesson that a teacher can't really do. And I think it's so neat they use that opportunity.
I do too. I think that's one
Wanted to
great
thank
to point that out. But it's been a very successful project, and they were talking about some of the aesthetics and bricks and so forth, so I'll recognize Ms. Hutchison, who had a real hand in the first time around, and we're duplicating again in the rock and the bricks. So
Aesthetics officer.
Chief Aesthetics Officer. Thank you. It's a great team effort.
Chief Aesthetics officer.
Thank you so much.
Just pull it closer, I think.
Thank you. Okay, is there any more to you? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That concludes the superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. All right, that brings us to item number 12, which is public participation.